Hey there, welcome back to another video. This time around, it is yet another thoughts on video, and I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on another music artist. This time around, it is YNW Melly. Now, before I get around to sharing more of my thoughts on this artist, plus a couple albums from him, I would like to give a shout out to Radic for requesting this video. And if there is another album or artist review that you would like to see me do in the future, or a video on a film or a TV show or a different topic, feel free to donate to either my PayPal or to my Patreon or my Cash App. The links to all three are in the video description down below, and I'll try to get your request as soon as I possibly can. Now, YNW Melly, he's a rapper, and he is in the headlines for non-rap related reasons currently, because he is on trial for double murder, which makes it kind of awkward and weird to talk about him when it comes to his merits as a rapper and a musician and an artist. And I will talk about my thoughts on his murder case at the end of this video, if that's something that you're curious to hear me talk about when it comes to this artist. But Radic specifically asked me to talk about YNW Melly. He requested me to do a album review of his first studio album, Melly versus Melvin, and then he told me to just listen to whatever else I wanted to. So I listened to his first mixtape, I Am You, and then I also listened to another song of his that was a pretty big single from his second. Actually, it was his album that he did prior to Melly versus Melvin, and We All Shine. Now, I Am You, it came out sometime in 2019, and it has 15 tracks. I don't think it needed to have that many tracks. A lot of these mixtapes, they tend to have like way too many tracks, I've noticed. There's just a lot of filler tracks on this album. So the first track is called I Am You, and I didn't care for this one. The the rapping is okay. YNW Melly's flow is decent. There's some okay beats here, but I really don't like the talking and just the chatting that's going on throughout this track. I think it's like with a girlfriend of his or something. They're just blabbing for like 30 seconds at the end of this track, and it's just as annoying as it sounds. The second track I liked a lot more. This one is called Virtual Blue Balenciagas. This is like the first track that I heard from him that I was like, okay, I kind of like this. I like the flow, I like the beat. I think Melly does a good job vocalizing his raps. The raps themselves actually have some good lyrics at points, and I like the hook of it. So I'd probably say that is definitely one of the best tracks on this album. Track 3 is called Risk Taker. This one's like almost 6 long. It's almost 6 minutes long, and that's way too long for this track. I did not like this track. This is another track where YNW Melly does this really annoying, high pitched vocalization that sounds like he huffed helium, and I don't really think it really adds to the song. It more detracts from it than anything else. What was up with this trend of rappers doing falsetto? I don't get it. I don't really think it works. I'm sorry. That's just me. Track 4 is called Freaky Girl. It's another just forgettable track. There's an okay hook here, but that's kind of about it. Track 5 is YNW Home Invasion. That's another one that I barely even remember. Some decent beats. Melly isn't the problem when it comes to his rapping, but I just didn't really get into that track that much. Track 6 is Mama Cry. That one I liked a little bit more than a lot of the other tracks in the album so far, other than Virtual. That one has a good hook. Uh, it actually has some memorable moments in it, and I feel Melly was pretty strong when it comes to his flow, and it had some good instrumentals and beats in it. Track 7 is Wine for Me, another forgettable track that was just very repetitive and just dull. Track 8 is called For Real. It's another one that I was just really not that enamored with. But it wasn't like one of those tracks where, oh, I hated it. It was just one of those tracks that was just in one ear and out the other. Track 9 is Drop Top. I hated this track because, once again, the high pitched vocals come back and it's really irritating. Track 10 is called In the Morning. I really like this track. I think this is a little more of a somber track, a little slower in terms of its beat, but it works well. And Melly does a good job with his raps and his vocalization, and it's got some good instrumentals, and I like the lyrics. So yeah, I definitely would say that's one of the best tracks of this album. But then it's followed up with two more forgettable filler tracks, and Free Trail, which is track 11, and Had a Dream, which is track 12. Both of them run together, and honestly, I don't even remember anything about either of them. And I have listened to this album like 2 times prior to recording this video, and I still don't remember anything about those 2 tracks. Track 13 is Murder on My Mind. That's the big single from this mixtape. I can see why. This is a great track. I mean, yeah, it's very weird listening to it considering the fact that Melly is incarcerated currently and on trial for murder. But it's a banger of a track, it really is. It's got some really good beats, some really good instrumentals, good flow, good hooks, a good chorus. Melly's really good when it comes to his rapping. I like the lyrics. It's a great track. It's just a shame that it's more than likely written and performed by a man who probably murdered 2 people. Now, track 14 is a sequel to that called Mind and My Murder, and that one was all right. It just wasn't on the same level as Murder on My Mind. And then track 15 is Slang That Iron, and it's another one that I don't remember anything about. So, I wasn't the biggest fan of this mixtape, but there were at least like 2 or 3 tracks that I really liked. The next album that I'm going to talk about is well, I might as well briefly mention We All Shine because I decided to listen to the song Mixed Personalities, which YNW Melly did with Kanye West. And that track's, I would say it's above average. I'm still not a fan of the falsetto stuff or the auto tune parts of the song, but other than those aspects of that track, I thought it was pretty solid for what it was. Now, Melly versus Melvin is his first studio album, and it has 14 tracks. And it suffers from the same problems that I had with his mixtape, where there's a lot of tracks that just kind of run together or aren't really that memorable. But then there's a handful of tracks that I actually would consider to be good. Or honestly, there's one in particular I thought was actually great. I will say this though, the production value is a massive step up when it comes to the way that this album sounds compared to his mixtape, I Am You. The studio backing really does a show here. Track 1 is called Two Face. I kind of like the idea of this track, which is like almost like a split personality rap with these 2 different versions of YNW Melly talking about one another. And I do like the flow of this track, and I like the beats, and I do feel that it really has some merit, but it's just a track that I think is okay though, because even though I like the concept behind it, there are certain things about it that just don't really vibe well with me or work that well. So it's one of those tracks that I do consider it to be one of the better tracks on the album, but it's not one of my favorite tracks. The second track is Suicidal. I thought the song slapped. Like, I thought this was a really good song. Great hook, great chorus, really good beats and instrumentals. Melly was on point with his raps, like the lyrics. That is my favorite track from this album. And it's one of the bigger singles from the album too, and for a good reason, because it's a good song. It's just a shame it might be from a guy who's, you know, guilty of murder. Track 3 is called Adam Sandler. This track sucked. I don't know what this was. Was this a joke? Why is it called Adam Sandler anyway? I can never even make sense as to why it was even called Adam Sandler. And I listened to the track like 2 times, and I still can't figure that out. It's just about as forgettable as one of Adam Sandler's crappy Netflix movies. Track 4 is called Bang Bang. This one is another one that I don't mind, mainly because I really like the beat. I like the beat. I like the instrumentals and stuff. I think it has a decent flow to it. The lyrics are kind of hit and miss, but I can listen to that one. Track 5 is Billboard. It's another one that I don't really remember a whole lot about. Didn't really stand out to me, good or bad. Just very indifferent about it. Track 6 is I Ain't Lying. This is another one that I wasn't really big on, and was kind of forgettable. Same thing goes for track 7, I'm a Star. Both of them, they kind of ran together for me and just didn't really leave a significant impact. The rapping isn't the worst thing, and Melly isn't the problem on them. It's just the songs themselves aren't really that great. Track 8, My Slime, I would say is a little bit of an improvement over those previous 2 tracks, but it's still not what I would consider to be a great one. It's at least an average track, though. I'll give it that because of its hook and its beats and the overall flow and just the structure of it. Track 9 is 100K. It's another one that is just kind of on, could take or leave. Has a good beat to it. Has some all right flow, but it's not really a track that I'm super fond of. Track 10, Nobody's Around. Yeah, I'm not going to be around for this one because I did not care for this track. Another one, I would probably say one of the weakest tracks on the album. Track 11 is also pretty weak and dull and forgettable to me. It's called Killuminati, which is just honestly, it's a cheesy title. Killuminati. Get it? Like the Illuminati, but kill. Uh, didn't care for that one. Track 12 is Stay Up. Another one I don't really remember much about. I'm not up for that track by any means. Track 13, though, I liked. Waiting on You. This showed a lot of heart. This was a different side of YNW Melly, where he's bearing his heart and soul out. He's talking about how he wants to seek forgiveness, and I honestly feel that it featured a really great guest rapper in Tonk with the gift, because his guest first was killer and it was really good. So it definitely elevated this track to a higher level as a result. And then track 14 is 223s featuring 9 Lock 9. This is another big hit from this album. I can see why. It's short, but it sticks with you. It's got some really great flow to it, good beats. I feel Melly's rapping is definitely on a pretty consistent and high level, as well as the guest verse by Nine Lock Nine. So yeah, I would say the album ended with a banger. Like that's a good track. I still would say Suicidal is my favorite track from this album, but I would say my second favorite would be 223's. So after this album, he did Just a Matter of Slime, and then he did another one called Young New Wave. I haven't listened to either of these, and he hasn't really done anything since because he's behind bars. Even though a lot of those albums that I mentioned, they were actually released while he was still incarcerated. Now I'm going to talk about YNW Melly's uh, criminal case. So here is what happened. Now, I'm definitely talking about a case that a lot of people already know about, but just in case you aren't really aware of what actually happened, um, YNW Melly was arrested on February 13th of 2019. Actually, he wasn't arrested. He turned himself in. He turned himself in on February 13th of 2019 for a double murder charge because he was connected with a double murder of two of his close friends and associates, YNW Sack Chaser and YNW Juvie. And he actually has already been on trial, but the previous trial ended in a mistrial or a hung jury because of the fact that I believe the prosecution was revealed to have obtained evidence either illegally or they were doing some shady stuff that was definitely not trustworthy. So it made people question the prosecution. The prosecution's case, though, honestly, if you look up this murder case, if you look up the details, it seems to be pretty cut and dry to me. YNW Melly was in the position of where the fatal shots came from in the vehicle that the two victims were in, and he had a friend of his try to provide an alibi, but it doesn't really seem like it's something that's going to stick. The prosecution's case seems pretty sound, and honestly, from what I've read, it seems like he's guilty. But because of the fact that the prosecution did some shady things and kind of screwed stuff up on their end, it makes you question the validity of their case, even though that it sounds very convincing. And because of that, I think there is a percentage that's higher than some people might think that this next trial might end the same way as the other trial did because of just how people are questioning the prosecution and their case. But the defense, their case is kind of flimsy, to be honest. I know there's some people who talked about maybe some other colleague of his. They were the ones that actually killed the two victims. But my thing is, if he was not guilty in any way, why would he ever turn himself in? He turned himself in. He did that because he probably had a guilty conscience in terms of his involvement with the case. So I don't believe he's innocent. And if there is other evidence that arises and might pop up that points out and really makes his innocence clear, I'll be the first to admit that. But from what I have been seeing in terms of this case, it seems like he's guilty. And it's unfortunate because when you listen to his albums, when you listen to his music, he's actually quite talented. Some tracks aren't that great and are definitely are not on the same level as others, but he's not a talentless hack. He's actually a pretty good rapper and makes some good music. It's just a shame. It really is. It's a shame that he threw it all away because he decided to be involved in a double murder. And I've read that his upbringing was pretty rough, and it's something that a lot of people who grow up in the kind of neighborhoods and the kind of environment that he grows up in ultimately fall into, sadly. They wind up falling into these places where they get involved in murders and gang activity and all of these other things that really just destroy whatever promise their life might have had. So, in some ways, it is sad, but in another way, it seems like more likely than not, this man is a murderer. So it's kind of hard for me to feel a ton of sympathy for him, even with his upbringing and even knowing his talent as a rapper when he's a murderer. I mean, it wasn't self defense, it wasn't anything like that. It seems like it was pretty cold-blooded and premeditated, and murder is murder. Maybe you shouldn't have had murder on your mind, YNW Melly, because then maybe if you didn't, then you would not be in jail and you wouldn't be on trial right now, and you would probably be still touring and getting ready for your next album. So that's my thoughts on YNW Melly. And until next time, I'll see you later. See ya.